The conversations continue, the thoughts continue, the ideas continue. I appreciate this is not a straightforward, simple thing because we all come from a different perspective. And I really appreciate that. What my experience is not going to be what your experience is. You know, there's so many different things. Let's just talk about it for 2 seconds. Femur length, we all have different. Tibia length, it's all different. Ankle mobility, ankle restrictions, ankle injuries, all of that has a different thing. Oh, what about anteversion, retroversion of the neck of femur? Where does the neck of femur come out? What is the orientation? I'm just talking about 3 joints here. Do you have bowed legs? Do you have straight legs? Do you have God knows what? How big is your spine? Like there is endless amount of variation there. So when I come on here and I'm like, guys, this is what I reckon is going on with me. You know, I come with a lot of power, a lot of emotion because I've been at this for a long time and you can appreciate the frustration. But that doesn't mean that you take my words and you're like, okay, that works for everyone, works for me. No. This game, the reason why we love it is because it is so freaking individual. You got to find your own way, dude. There's no magic pill. You have to find your own way. You have to find what hurts you, what doesn't hurt you, what makes you move better, what makes you move worse. And then you kind of progress through that. For me, glutes. Today, I had a thought, and it dominated basically the entire day. You know, background, just going along. And the thought was this. I have long legs. No matter what I do, I will always have an affinity to lean over, purely because of leverages. Whatever. That's been my experience. Nothing came easy to me vertically. Everything comes to me easily horizontally. So I will lean over forever. So then I go to myself, okay, every time I do glutes and posterior chain, I see progress. Every time I do quads, I don't see progress. Maybe a little bit, but it's very hard to come by. And then I think to myself this, and this is the thought. When you invest in things that are easy for you, that are natural for you, you will see very quick results. But when you invest into things that are a minor part of your life, or let's say in this sense, very, very minor contributor to your human movement, you see very little, very, very little. It's like this. You have $1 million, right? You have a business. You invest the $1 million in something that is not going to really change how you process the business, how the business functions. You blow $1 million. Okay, you maybe get 10% return on that $1 million, right? You've improved a certain aspect of that business and that particular department is flying, but it doesn't really translate to the benefit, to the growth of the business. Or you take that $1 million and you put it smack bang where the meat and potatoes of the business are running, and then you come back and you go 5 million in revenue, in flow, right? I'm not a businessman, but that's just one thing, right? In my sense, every single time I invest in the posterior chain, I get noticeable, immediate and long-term effects because that's what I use. That is 80% of my human movement. It is freaking the posterior chain. I'm not saying that working on my quads means zero, but for every effort that I put in, every unit of time that I put in, I get very little back. But every unit of time I put into posterior chain, I get lots back because my body just wants to use that shit. It wants to go there. It wants to explore those ranges. So now I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, today I decided to push the sumos a little bit to see where I am. I got to 220. You know, it's awkward for me, you know, many aspects of it. It's very, very awkward, the stance. I feel like I'm going to split in half. It's all very, very weird. But it turned on a particular portion, a particular strain of glutes, the side glute business. It did something. I go to the squats and the squats felt like butter. Initially, I wanted to do overhead squats, but my shoulders were locked up and not feeling great. So I scrapped that, went to back squats, and the back squats felt amazing. And I'm like, God. They feel amazing because the sumos, even though they're really uncomfortable for me, they really do expose the glutes. You have full external rotation, you have flexion of the hips. So what does that mean? Well, the 2 biggest functions of the glutes you are doing. External rotation of the femur and flexion, or rather extension, right? You have extension and rotation, external rotation. You do that, you put the glutes in a shortened state at the top of the lift, right? Full external rotation, full hip extension, boom. Everything's on. You go to the squats and they feel like butter. They feel like you have turbo boosted the very thing that drives your freaking existence in this movement. That doesn't mean that if I turn the quads on, I won't feel good. but still I rely maybe 20% of quads when I move. And then it's like glutes are everything. So because I have these long legs, every time I do a bit of glute, it's like immediate return. If you, I'm just, theorizing here. If you have very short legs and a long torso, right? If you favor the verticality, everything you do, you feel like you're upright. You struggle with deadlifts, you struggle with RDLs, you struggle with all these sorts of things, the SSB, all of these things that challenge you horizontally, they kill you. Well, maybe for you, if you invest all of your revenue, all of your unit of time of training, if you invest majority of that, right, into quads, maybe you see the same effect that I get when I invest in glutes. Immediate returns, because you rely, that's your meat and potatoes of your human movement. My human movement relies on posterior chains no matter what I do. If something falls on the ground, I have to pick it up, boom, stiff-legged deadlift. It's weird. It's really, really weird. So, when we talk about what's weak, what's strong, what needs work, what doesn't need work, what no, blah, 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 blah. I say to you, okay, I feel like my glutes are strong. That doesn't mean I'm stronger than you in the quads. I'm saying my quads are strong, right? I'm not saying that it's the strongest thing in the world. I just think for this level where I am right now, squatting 210, trying to get to 220, I reckon the quads are where they need to be. They make 20% of the effort to move this weight. How about I spend most of my revenue, most of my effort into the 80% department, where majority of the meat and potatoes, the majority of the steam room is, let's put bulk of the stuff there. I want to get to a stage, okay, hear me out here. I want to get to a stage where I can grind for days. I want to be in a freaking 20-second grind. When I finally get to that level where I can grind for 20 seconds, my posterior chain is bulletproof. I can full on vertical shin that shit, send my ass back into the other room and just grind. Then I will know that my posterior chain is way overpowering my quads, because the ability to grind. And sometimes when I think about these sorts of things, I think to myself, can you grind? If you can't grind, you don't have a strong back posterior chain, whatever the hell you want to talk about it. Everything that's behind your ears. All of that stuff, it's not strong. If you do not have the ability to grind, you ain't got no posterior chain. If you do, and we've seen these videos where dudes are like coming out of the squat, full good morning, everything's round, but they have this confidence, they have this like, yeah, I got this, boom. Now, for me, it looks like, God damn, you're going to snap in two. But for them, it's like, I got this, man. Grind. That, to me, means that brother has got so much posterior chain strength that he can grind through that. He's got no push. It's all pull. So that's how I think about it. That was the thought that dominated me. Okay, how about we take the time that we have, right? And we're busy, normal people, right? Yeah, I don't do this for living, right, man? This makes a very small part of my life. Even though the channel is 100% about lifting, trust me, there's a lot more that goes in my life than just this. But the topic here is, when I do come in for that 1 hour or 2 hours training session that I have, depending on life, let's spend the majority of that training time on the stuff that really, really matters for me. For me. For you, it could be completely different. If you have super, super, super long arms, maybe you need some tricep work. If you have really, really, really short arms and you're trying to bench, maybe you need some pec work, right? The dudes with really short arms seem to have really buff arms, crappy pecs. Dudes with really, really, really long arms are the opposite. They have these skinny freaking noodle arms and these thick chests, right? You just got to work that out for you, man. And, what I recommend for you is listen to me talk about this, get inspired and go, okay, let me see the spectrum of exercise that exists out there. From Greg Nuggets used to talk about, from the most vertical movement to the most horizontal movement. Do all of them. And do a similar thing for the bench press. Go from super, super narrow grip all the way to freaking, your pinkies are touching them collars. Find out where you're weak, where you're strong, and kind of work on what's weak, what's not working, right? Work out what's the meat and potatoes of it, right? You just got to work it out for yourself. Like for me, to tell you again, You know, I have short arms. I have shit chest. I've trained chest in the past. And yeah, you kind of feel a little bit better, but still the bench press doesn't increase like when I train the arms, because 80% of that work is arms. My arms can't grow any longer, right? They can't. So then you work out, okay, I'm a short arm guy, buff arms, weak chest. Sure, work on the weakness. Work on the weakness. You know, just stability, my shoulder health, all that sort of stuff. But no matter what you do, dude, you're going to be a arm dominant bencher. No matter what I do, I'm going to be a hip hinge dominant deadlifter and squatter. It is what it is. That doesn't mean I don't work on quads. That doesn't mean any of that. You work out what the weaknesses are and you work on them. But the bulk, the meat and potatoes of your human movement is what it is. You didn't pick that, man. Your parents gave that to you. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm doing these sumos, I'm doing the GHD, I'm doing all these wonderful things, and I'm like, I literally feel like this is it. It feels I'm putting in where I need to put in. I'm not fluffing around. When I do quads, I feel like I'm fluffing around because I can't even engage those dudes. I just can't engage them. My leverages mean that my quads don't get a lot of, I can't engage them. It's my leverages. Simple as that. So it doesn't make sense for me to take everything I have, chuck into quads. You can only access 20% of the true power within those quads through positioning. By hip hinging, dude, get thick hamstrings, get thick adductors, get thick glutes, thick erectors, all of that stuff, and you'll be strong. You just have to work out for yourself what's going on. And it's not an easy task. I've been back and forth, like I said to you, and all of you guys have said, Ivan, my God, you're back and forth all the time. I never said I had the answers, dude. This is a journal. This is a progression of my learning. I'm literally telling you guys what my mindset is every single day. And this is the latest thing. This is it. My hips feel freaking amazing. Every time I go into quad heavy stuff, my hips want to explode. When I go into glute, feels fantastic. Just that alone is pointing me in the right direction. Like always, guys, I appreciate you, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.